Hi there, I'm Haruka. So the Crunchyroll Awards happened recently. Honestly, most professional weebs agree that 2020 was kind of a soft year when it comes to really good anime. There were some nice shows, but none that really stood out. So naturally, there wouldn't be very many awards that would be hotly contested. Except there was one. This year's Best Girl contest is probably the most stacked it had ever been. First, there's Noi from Dorohedoro. Admittedly, I've never watched the show, read the manga, or even checked any sacred numbers related to this show. What I do know is that Noi is an absolute battle mommy, and judging by the way people talk about her, she is also a cinnamon roll at that. I want her to carry me on her shoulders as she destroys my enemies. Next is the absolute love of my life, Abigail Jones from The Great Pretender. A former ballerina who was turned into a child soldier during the Gulf War. She hates everyone, and I love her. You say thank you when she kicks your ass. Then we've got Chizuru Mizuhara from Kanokari. I really got into this manga for the past year, and Chizuru is quite possibly the perfect woman. Like, made in a lab to be the greatest human on Earth. She is an absolute saint, and I also just sort of have a thing for theater girls. Still going, we've got Katarina Kleiss from Villainess. She is the biggest chad in anime. Not only is she just an adorable idiot, Bakarina somehow built and sustained a stable pansexual harem in just one season. There's a reason she won Protagonist of the Year. The hits keep on coming with Kaguya Shinomiya from a show that literally has her name in the title. She's the classic smart, dumb person, really intelligent and tactical, but she can't function when it comes to normal human interaction, and that's cute. Finally, there's Sayaka Kanamori of Aizuken, who this video is about, so I'll get to her later. The reason I'm bringing this up is because out of all these amazing choices, Kaguya is the one who won this award. I'm not angry, but I'm kind of annoyed. I mean, Kaguya can barely compete for Best Girl of her own show with its strong coalition of Chika Fujiwara lovers, Ai Hayasaka appreciators, and all the people who really liked him when Ishigami dressed up as a girl. Oh no, he's hot. But also, I'm just generally disappointed that this year had a lot of non-traditional waifus named as finalists, but the most generic high school girl on the list won. Noi is a very large woman with an incredibly untraditional body shape. Chizuru is technically a sex worker if you consider what she does as emotional labor. Kanamori isn't a traditionally cute high school girl, nor does she act like one. Surprisingly, Abby isn't the first woman of color to be nominated. Carol from Carol and Tuesday was up for last year's award, but Abby is possibly the only Arabic woman even considered a best girl in anime. And then Bakarina is gay. Like, that's not even an uncommon thing in this award, but something needs to be said about her unambiguously bi harem. I've never seen anyone pull this hard. Now, because of this year's amazing failure to highlight an unconventional waifu, I decided to make a video about what makes non-traditional waifus so great. I mentioned how I haven't watched Dorohedoro, so talking about Noi is off the table, and I really want to talk about Great Pretender and Villainess as a whole, so I'm not talking about Abby or Bakarina either. But Kanamoney on her own is more than enough of a topic. See, Sayaka Kanamori could be seen as almost an antithesis to the traditional waifu, yet she became beloved enough by a fanbase that she got nominated for this award beside conventionally attractive anime girls. That's something to dig into. Alright, so let's start off by looking at what traditional waifus are. According to my anime list, the most popular waifu is Levi. Just kidding, but there are actually no women in the top 10 favorite characters on the site. The highest ranked, last time I checked, is Rem from ReZero at number 14. I'm basically pulling a lot of the traditional waifus that I mentioned from the first 500 characters on that list, which is surprisingly filled with men. Why does anyone need to make a list of men longer than just Koyomi Araragi and Sakura Azusagawa? I have no clue. But let's talk about the three big waifu categories. Pretty much every weeb is familiar with the dere types, but a lot of the well-known dere types are actually fairly rare in the wild, like how everyone thinks quicksand would be a much bigger issue in their life than it actually is. The most basic generic dere type is the dere. Their entire purpose is to just love others, especially their romantic interest. They fit the absolute definition of cute most of the time, and while danderes are classified separately, they're just shy deres. This category's got girls like Rem, or maybe Shoko Nishimura from A Silent Voice, just cute for cute. Genki girls are another incredibly common trope, although I can't figure out what their actual dere type name is. Really, they're mostly just known as Genki girls. Easily excitable, easily distracted, extremely passionate about everything. Sometimes they're given small moments to be shy or soft, but that's used a lot of time to simply amplify their usual excitability. I'll place Megumin and Haruhi Suzumiya in here, but I'm not going to get into the other issues with those two. Then we've got tsunderes. While not completely traditional, this archetype has become so ubiquitous throughout anime that I'd call it completely traditional. You know the type, the one that goes babaka and punches the dude. Meanwhile, they're actually really into him. Obviously, the most popular is Asuka Langley from Evangelion, despite the actual intricacies of her character, and Taiga Aisaka from Toradora, actually a much better example of the trope. The main common traits all these waifus have is that you can look at them right away and they're objectively pretty. They have very pretty features. Big eyes, small mouth, small nose, small frame, slender build. They also seem to be characters defined by their love interests. While the writers may not intend them to be seen this way, this is how the audience usually views them. Now, I just want to put up one official Queen of the Basic to be the most pure contrast to Kanamoney. And since dunking on SAO is considered a sport on its own at this point, I'm going to pull up Asuna Yuki. She's your basic redhead tsundere model, but she eventually just gets downgraded to a dere. There's a massive argument to be had about whether she actually has agency in the show, but I mean, what does she do that doesn't have anything to do with Kirito, or simply being an object for Kirito to conquer? She's introduced with lip service to her being a strong female character, but she's effectively a prop. In the first half of the show, she's just Kirito's contact with the Knights of Favonius, or whatever they're called, and in the second half, she's not only fridged, but she becomes a MacGuffin. And that is the most pop movie critic sentence I've ever said. Asuna's not a character so much as she's a cardboard cutout of the gamer girl fantasy all the edgy weeb boys have. Although, really, all the characters in SAO are cardboard cutouts of the same fantasy. Before I move on, I'm not just going to use evidence from anime. I've also got some real-life evidence to throw at you. We need to quickly talk about kawaii culture. This is a video from Gaijin Goomba that I think really gets into what the culture is about, but to put it basically, almost all of modern Japanese culture revolves around this concept of being cute. Every single bit of marketing to girls and women is steeped in this need to be cute. And what is cute? Well, it involves the physical features I mentioned before that all the traditional waifus have, but there's also certain behaviors associated with cute, such as fashion, their voice, and even their hobbies and interests must be perfectly curated to be cute. This culture can be very easily seen in anime. I mean, the reason why everyone looks like little girls is because kawaii culture is pretty much about getting all women to pretend to be little girls for their entire lives. It's really weird and creepy, but as the Goomba Man says in the video, in the West we told little girls they needed to act grown up as soon as possible. So I'm just gonna lay down a blanket yikes on that. Now what about Sayaka Kanamori? This video is about Kanamori. Sayaka Kanamori from Keep Your Hands Off Aizoken is almost the antithesis to these normal waifu guidelines. Physically, she's really tall. She is canonically 5'11", which is around 4 inches taller than the tallest player on Japan's national women's hockey team. For an anime character, she has a very prominent nose. Her mouth is very large and locked in a permanent grimace. Her voice is very distinct and deep, and generally she's sort of shaped like a box, which is very much avoided when designing female characters. Personality-wise, she's still not kawaii. I mean, her nickname among fans is Kanamoney. Her main interest in life is making money and exploiting the capitalist system to get what she wants, which is usually money. The only other thing she appears to enjoy is milk, which is still not really a kawaii thing unless you think way too hard about it. She's also a severe pragmatist and realist, and is the person who has to make sure everyone is working and getting their jobs done. Most of the time, waifus like Genki girls and deres have their heads in the clouds, so that's not really a conventional look for a waifu. Now that I've fully distanced her from the common waifu, why does Kanamoney work so well? Well, she is the logical conclusion of Gap Moe. Gap Moe as a concept is more about a character's actions being incongruent with their appearance. Say, Hokagu Tea Time performing Du Hast by Rammstein, or Uzaki-chan having an encyclopedic knowledge of all the works created by Jane Austen. Just really unexpected things. Kanamoney is the sort of person she looks like, but that's precisely why she's the final conclusion. The gap isn't within her as a character, but it's meta on the anime genre as a whole. A traditional slice of life, which is what Aizoken is about cute girls doing cute things. Masaki Yuasa doesn't draw cute. And while Mizusaka can be passed off as a traditionally cute anime girl, Asakusa and Kanamori are clearly just normal girls. And while their personalities are very focused and passionate about the things they're into, the things they're into aren't considered kawaii, especially not Kanamoney's drive to be the CEO of the world. There's also a generally changing perception about the concept of cute. Not kawaii, but just cute. There's a massive oversaturation on cute anime girls. We know anime girls are cute, we get it. And at some point, interest in cuteness has seemed to dwindle, and people seem more interested in characters designed to be cool rather than cute. Although this is still dangerous, as instead of breaking the wheel, this is just going to create another competing new trend that will simply blend right back in. But we've already seen a couple of non-traditional waifus making their way into everyone's hearts. Revi from Black Lagoon, an anime I've never seen, is a heavy-drinking, gun-wielding, tattoo-having badass woman. As stated, I've never seen Black Lagoon, but she seems like a great accelerator to the type of new waifu we've been seeing pop up. And the one who has completely demolished it is Mikasa Ackerman. I've only seen the first season of Attack on Titan and the Attack on Titan Junior High parody. I think it's obvious that I don't really watch action shonen, but her popularity is proof that a muscle-bound badass can be considered a waifu as long as they're presented correctly. In the end, traditional cute isn't bad, but it's also so played out. They're nice once in a while, but there needs to be more complexity than just being an object of desire for the protagonist or audience. Once again, this isn't every major waifu. There's plenty of well-written waifus who are pretty generic. Mai Sakurajima is a great example of a generic waifu who's written well. But it's also just so refreshing to see a completely non-traditional character like Kanamoney get so much acclaim from the anime community because she is a really interesting character. Also, the Crunchyroll Awards are dumb, and Mutsumi Tamura was robbed of Best VA because people apparently prefer listening to Subaru screaming. Thank you for watching. I have more videos now. I actually am building up videos, so this is a great thing that's going on. I've got Twitch streams 5 days a week now, pretty much every day of the week except for Tuesday and Thursday because those are my editing days. And also, all of them are at 7 p.m., but on Saturdays, I do them at 2:30 p.m., and that's Central Time. I will keep making videos and keep streaming until I can't anymore. Thank you.